I'd like to call this Board of Education regular meeting Tuesday, April 21st, 2026 at 7:01 p.m. Can I get a roll call?
Mrs. Lama? Here. Mr. Poljak?
Here.
Mrs. McPhillips? Here. Mrs. Urbach Barnfield? Here. Mrs. Theodore? Here. Mr. Berardi?
Here.
Mr. Trabuzio?
If we have a quorum, let's stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mission states the mission of North School District 80 is inspiring educational excellence and a nurturing environment. Celebrate the success. Anything to
Yes, actually, we do not have any students coming tonight, but we do want to celebrate our assistant principals, and who Mr. Preble is here this evening representing the assistant principals, and our admin assistants, which we have Mrs. Garcia here representing them. But we would like to thank them for their work. Let's start with Mrs. Goulot. There's a lovely picture of Mrs. Goulot, couldn't be at the meeting tonight, but we want to thank her for all of her work at Giles School, working with our students and helping to build them up for their future as they move on to high school. So I want to thank her for all of her work. And Mr. Preble, during Assistant Principal Week, it was a challenge for the students and the staff, of course, to dress up as Mr. Preble. And so you can see some pictures there I shared with you of our staff and our students dressing up like Mr. Preble with their coffee. Is it coffee that you're drinking?
Oh, apparently, yeah.
Yeah. In their hands.
Walkie recorders it.
And walkie-talkie.
And I brought my bald head with me.
I love the picture of the little girl down below with the pink little walkie-talkie in her hand. But we want to thank you, Mr. Preble, for your work here in the district and for always stepping up and always being there and always following through and communicating so beautifully with everyone in the district. So thank you very much for your work.
Thanks for having me.
Hand these out just really super quickly. Let me run over there. Thank you, cards for you. Now, Mr. Biecki, would you bring this to Ms. Cool? So thank you very much. I'm good. It's okay. Thank you. And I just want to also add a special mention. Tomorrow is Administrative Assistance Day. So I want to thank Mrs. Garcia and Mrs. DeCintio who work in our district office. Fun picture of the two of them here. I believe this was Mrs. DeCintio's birthday, I think, where they were, or they just like to wear tiger things all the time. But I want to thank them for all of their work, as well as Mrs. Robles and Mrs. Thank you, Vasquez, their work over there at Giles. They're great. Mrs. Robles and Mrs. Vasquez have been there for years and doing a wonderful job in the Giles office. And then, of course, Ms. Peters and, oh gosh, how do you say that? Say it again. Yeah, Lessa Bernard. I went to high school with her too. You think I would know that? And all their work here at the school. Yeah, they do a great job. The principals and the directors and coordinators are taking them out to lunch tomorrow. The building people to celebrate assistants, admin assistants day. So thank them all for all of their work. That is what I have for celebration tonight.
Thank you. Any modification?
I don't have any modifications.
I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion.
Lauren?
Second.
Amanda, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion passes. Recognition of visitors. Thank you, visitors. Correspondence. Public participation. FOIA requests. can be found at the district website, as they are every month. Presentations.
So the board asked the BLT committee for Giles to follow up in April on how the Hall Pass system was going, so we'll start with that tonight. We have 3 teachers from Giles that have come to present with Mr. Reed.
So from the BLT team, we have Anthony Coletta, we have Steve Aborka, and Anna Marie Pietrowski. And we're happy to share what we've learned so far since we've implemented the digital hall pass system at Giles.
So our goal with the hallway pass system is to maximize student instruction time and time spent in the classroom. Also just to increase the overall accountability in the building. Maintain student safety and the support, but also staff student safety and support. And then also reducing the time spent at the school's water fountains.
So we implemented this kind of towards the end of January, and we're still running it now. And in that time, we've issued about 25,000 passes. And that we have certain categories we can put it in, which are listed there. And it's been different places take some different amounts of time. So we do want to point out some of the main ones. So like, I mean, it's not a big surprise, but most of the time students end up using the bathroom. That's where most of the passes are for. So that's not a big one. Moving between classrooms is the second biggest one. And the third one would be water fountain, going to get drinks of water, refilling water bottles, and such. So, a bit more examples there. So what, like, on average, we got 7 minutes in the bathroom, and we're going to improve that. Room to room kind of depends why they're going, so it can be a huge range. But it helps provide accountability for the students. We kind of know where they are. If we're in emergency, we know who's in the hallway, we know who to expect where. And water fountain, they're spending about 5 minutes there, so that kind of points out to us that we've got an area we could probably focus on improve a little bit and try to see if we can't make that a bit more efficient. So it's helping us kind of think about a little bit how long these breaks are, what students are doing, and has us ask questions about what's reasonable, what could work, and if we're doing things, you know, that the systems are working the best for us and for the students.
Again, so another big piece of this for benefits is the accountability, the overall accountability in the building. So during any student issue, you referring to it for data, it's data driven. Just the overall elimination of the paper passes and saving the paper. And then just looking at the list and noticing like certain students that have maybe not used or made choices in the hallway over the course of the time, just identifying those students and just restricting certain students from not using that hallway productively and safely. And the system allows us to do that.
Okay, so we asked the students, so how are you guys liking these paper, not these paper passes, the new pass system? And honestly, overall, they really liked it. They're not spending half as much time searching for their paper passes at the bottom of their backpacks, accidentally bringing up like a March one and it's April. Like they're really enjoying it. It's quick with their ID badge. We scan it or we type it in, and they're on their way. They come back and we check it in. So it's been really nice. They can go more frequently too. They're not just limited to the times that we say they can go. If they need to use the restroom, they can go basically whenever they need to. They feel more secure, which is interesting because they know that the teachers know where they're going. So even though you might think, oh, that's really limiting for them, they felt a little bit more secure with that. They like being able to say their PBIS grades because in the older grades, I know personally with 8th grade, they're able to, if they lost their pass, they purchase another one from the PBIS store. Now they don't have to do that because you're not losing any passes. So they get to save their passes for other things. And, yeah, and what I find interesting too is one of the students said that they feel like it's safer in the bathrooms because the stalls are filled up. So we're limiting the amount of students that are in the hallway on the move because we know where they are. The staff likes it too. Less paper use, has been great. We reduce the student meetups. So some students have a tendency to like schedule meetups in the hallways with their friends, maybe to the bathroom to go get some water. They sit there, they talk, and they come back. While the students don't like that, we are able to kind of put the kibosh on their friendly meetups. We like it because they're back in class more quickly. Again, we know where they are, and we're really spending less time wandering the hallways. There's more instructional time that's being used instead of being lost.
Okay, next steps. So our next steps is to continually review the data and develop a plan for areas of need such as what we've identified already as the drinking fountain. We would like to know and monitor our frequent flyers to support them in staying in the classroom. We would also like to continue to have staff in the hallway and then also placed in key spots that we've identified. And then continue with staff education and checking students in. So one of the ways that we've done that already is we go to the students help the staff members. If they're in an important lesson and they're teaching, a student will walk in and say, I'm back, can you check me in? And that's just a nice gentle reminder to make sure that we're constantly doing that, because sometimes the teachers are so into that teaching, and we want to make sure that we get them checked in again. So those are our next steps. The next slide talks about costs. This year we had a free trial. It did not cost the district anything. Next year the quote to implement the hall pass system is $495 to have the system for next year. That concludes our presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment that I'm so glad to see that students mentioned. We had 2 quotes there. I would guess that there were more students that felt this way. But for them to say that they felt safer is worth $1 million, because when we're the adults always talking about it, you overlook that they're thinking of it too. They're thinking of their safety too. And to see that is really good. I overlooked that they see something like this as making them safer. Really good to see.
So the fountain during long time at the water fountain or whatever, it's probably just a building water fountain, right?
Yeah, yes. That's what we're learning, yeah. One of the things is with the more frequent changing of the filters, we see with the newer filter, water flows a little faster.
So there's some,
Have a water filter, a bottle filter in every hallway.
No, we
That could
don't.
be challenged, walking to find them.
so sometimes they go a little bit further at once, turn the electricity back, it gets, replaced with an outlet and that kind of takes for that, they have to go in.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate your time. That would be a recommendation. I mean, it comes at cost, but we do feel that the benefits that have been there have outweighed the cost.
When do we have to commit by the end of school year? Is that or prior to the school starts?
When do we need to commit to moving forward with the renewal or with the payments?
Oh, there's really no timeline. Whenever we do it, it's, yeah.
Typically, this time of the year is when Dr. Rebio and Mr. Vicky are getting together all the curriculum, getting everything ordered, getting everything else set for the next school year. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Facilities plan.
Great, thank you. Last month, we spoke about, we kind of circled back around to the facility plan that Mike had presented to us back in December. So you asked me to get all of the items that were identified as life safety items and have, well, you didn't ask me to have Mike back, but I asked Mike to come back and present those to you. So there's the presentation that you have in board book and I have up in front of you, but there's also a couple of pages. One says Giles and one says Lee that has a list of all the life safety projects. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this over to Mike.
Okay, thank you, board. Again, Mike, back for Boulder. So good to be back here and talk about your facilities. So for both schools, we went through the list, the 10-year long-range plan, and looked at components of that, lines, items that you have a copy of, that would be potentially eligible for amending your life safety survey. So an amendment means you submit back to the state these items and you ask if they are to be approvable to then use and levy for life safety. So with this scope of work, we'll go through this, and if you have any questions, but really, it was really a way to focus a little bit more on the items that would be eligible for life safety dollars. Okay. So at Giles, there are interior renovations, which include replacement of the toilet rooms, the flooring, the VCT flooring, ceiling tiles, doors. These are components of the building that are aging, deteriorating, and in that case, you are planning to replace them. So when you plan to replace items that are at the end of their life, that are cannot be maintained anymore, those will be eligible for this. Okay. Site work would be pavement, so all of the playground areas, and then sidewalks, there's a ramp, concrete's deteriorating, handrails. That's about 900. These are numbers directly from the tender.
I just jump in really quickly. This does not mean all of the toilets, all of the flooring, or all of the ceiling. This is just what they've identified that's at end of life. So keep that in mind as we're looking through that. It's not every door. It's only the doors that were identified that can qualify as a needing of life safety replacement.
So you have a door to a classroom or storage room. That's a door that you need to close properly. That needs to have the veneer needs to be in correct condition, right? So when those elements start to deteriorate, it starts to affect the fire prevention, the fire rating of the door, and just overall deterioration and cycle. Okay. Mechanicals, we have air handlers that are on the list to be replaced within the next 3 to 5 years. And all of these are within 6 years that they need to be addressed. And about half of them need to be addressed within the next 3 years. And some of them within the next year. Plumbing, mechanical, there's also exhaust fans that are part of the toilet rooms. Plumbing, there are sewer pumps, sump pumps, valves that are associated with the control of the mechanicals. Electrical, there's electrical panels. The electrical, mechanical, those are higher priority items. And then exterior, that is mostly roofing. There's also some additional tuck pointing jobs, including some but there's the whole building, most of the rest of the buildings are tuck pointing. ADA, there is some door openings and handrails that so the total eligible for life safety amendments is $6.8 million. You also have life safety items from your last 10-year life safety survey. Okay, so those are the D items. I don't know how much you present about those, but those are components. Most of that is you have some handrails and some patching of walls like toilet rooms and storage rooms where you can't see them, where they make holes to the stuff they never really patched it. So that needs to be patched. So that's a summary on Giles. With Lee, similar approach here, your tier renovations, boiler rooms. It's not that they don't function now, it's just within the next 6 years, we want to be improving those. We want to be replacing the finishes, the fixtures, the lighting, and set that up for the next 20, 30 years, right? You're at a point where that needs to be replaced and at that age. Site work, similarly, here in the courtyard, there's drainage challenges there. The asphalt, the sidewalk, all that needs to be replaced. And there's also around the perimeter, some additional asphalt and concrete. So that's $1.2 mechanical, similar air handlers, exhaust fans, plumbing, similar pumps, same thing, sewer, some pumps, electrical. And I think, the two buildings kind of have similar systems that were put in place, so as they start to age out, and we plan ahead, right? We don't want to wait until something breaks, we want to project this out over the next 5 years, 5 to 6 years. Okay? And then the final total on that. More exterior work here. Again, most of that is the roof work. There's some caulking around the windows. Downspouts. On your roof, you have, when they soundproof the building, there's kind of like these metal sheds that cover the ductwork. You probably don't see them, but when you come from Lawrence, you can see these kind of large, like sheds, like metal roof, right? So that is rusting. That needs to be sealed with a coating. So all those things, I mean, a lot of them are not very exciting, but they do need to be done. And by submitting for a life safety amendment, you're able to tap into the life safety fire prevention funds to fund these projects. As an option. Okay.
And Mike has identified some ADA work, and you can see that's not it's a small number. ADA, what to get approved on a life safety amendment for ADA is very minimal. We can't get an elevator approved on a life safety amendment. Nor can we address some of the stair issues, especially at Lee, the non-connection of the two second floors between the 4th grade area and the 3rd grade area. All of those things that we have on a list that we've talked about that need to be looked at for, especially for ADA purposes, but they wouldn't qualify under this grant. They're very specific. You can have like the door, the doors when people come in, one bathroom. So it's like very specific what can get covered for ADA.
Correct, and also with the site work, there does need to be a specific public hearing for that. If it has to do with pavement, it's just kind of a subcategory. State just wants some additional documentation. So the next step with this is really just an understanding for yourself as an avenue to fund projects. I think if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Depending on what the state says to this, that affects how we look into life safety law.
Correct. So the next step would be creating the amendments. So we put the amendment together.
Correct.
Mike would write those, or Mike Gould would write those, and put the amendments together. So when you submit an amendment, what is the timeline? You have a timeline that you have to complete it by.
Yeah, so once the amendment is approved, you have 5 years to complete that work. You're committed to do work. So with these projects, I mentioned these are falling within that, below 6-year need, if not under 3-year need. So once we get this kind of project put together, if you will, and kind of package that, and send it to the state saying, we have these projects, we have exterior work, we have flooring, X million. They review that. They won't necessarily do all of it, but from what I see here, these would qualify. I would feel fine submitting these. Okay. And then once it's approved, then you would proceed to vote to sell bonds, if that's what you want to pay for it, safety bonds. We do need to get it approved prior to selling the bonds or we can start work. But in order to submit for it, we have to have some direction from the administration or about, the scope and magnitude of it.
There's also, as Mike and I discussed last week, there's a little more drilling down of that list that we gave you, and they know what it is. It's, when you look on the map, this is talking about A3, but it's not written on there exactly, like which bathrooms. Like you might say, well, what bathrooms are looking at, what doors are we looking at? I think we would need to get that so specific also, or you would want them to see that so specific before anything else is done as well. And they have that, it's just that's not what we presented today. This is just more of an overview of, so you know. And you'll see this is slightly increased from what we talked about last month because, Mike really took another hard look at it and his team and thought, what has been getting approved? If we're looking at this avenue, what could we possibly put in it? So if we're gonna do it, then look at it as much as you can do with this vendor this way.
What month was it when you initially came and presented?
December.
What was it overall, general?
The overall for each building.
Yeah.
So for, Giles, was it 900? And for B, it was 11.5. I don't have the presentation.
Yeah, no,
I
roughly,
believe
that's
what it
fine.
was. So this is kind of just a more specific list. Not everything on the long-term plan would qualify for life safety.
Sure.
Like the renovation of the library, for example, was not upgraded, but you're doing that almost to improve kind of functionality, to improve education. It's a need, but it's not necessarily like a life safety.
And I will add here too, we've done, not this work, but we've done a lot of work. For example, when you look at the valves, and the plumbing, we did very large plumbing projects. We put in the mixers for the valves, but they're supposed to be at every sink and not just mixing once, they're supposed to be mixing at every sink. So things like that are, not things that we were able to do, but if we're looking at this, we could get covered in that. We do have mixing valves there, it's not everywhere. They're at the source.
And you're continuing to, address all the life safety items that have been over the last 10 years. So you can continue to make those up. Now it's an opportunity to kind of look at all the projects that are in front of you and think, these are the highest priority here. Next summer, we can begin tackling all the roof cabinets, or we can start looking at all the site work and start to kind of put these into projects that can be funded and also start to address some of the priorities as a district, whether it's from the functionality or community priority. This is an opportunity here to kind of step back and look at things in larger scopes that they want. So I will divide these up into these categories.
When you do a life safety bond, you have to complete the work that we identified for the bond. So you can't take the life safety money and say, oh, you know what, we actually want to do X instead. Once that amendment is submitted, your timeline starts. You need to do that work.
When
Within
you
that budget.
submit for the bond, so if we say we have, $8 million worth of improvements we want to do to leave that we feel fall under life safety, and we submit that for approval to ISB, are we committing to doing the work when we take out the bond, or when we submit the list to ISB of things that we've identified?
When we submit that list to ISB. So once we submit that list, it'd be our 5-year clock starts.
Whether they approve it or not.
Only if they approve it.
Okay.
Yeah, only if they approve it. If they don't approve it.
Approve the amendment.
Excuse me, the amendment. Yes, thank you for finding that. That's actually very large, a big difference if they approve the amendment.
And they could approve parts of the amendment, not the whole amendment.
Correct,
Right,
yeah.
I mean, that's what we would be contractually obligated to complete that.
Right. Yeah, we would have packages of all the different items. Number, within that they can project or accept. Once.
I'm assuming a lot of this work, once completed, go through the whole process completed, are we looking at a 10-year lifespan, you know, because I know we talk about toilets, right? It's not gonna be every single one, but are we gonna be facing another 5 years with the second half of toilets? So, like, how many projects on here, once completed, have, you know, minimum of a 10-year, like, we don't have to worry about it for 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking, toilets, some of them have been here for 50 years.
Sure,
So,
sure.
Usually because, when you sell a bond, like the payout period is like 20 to 30 years. So you want to, from a community's point of view, you don't want to you want whatever you're doing to last, bond.
Sure, sure,
You know,
sure.
so like, and still paying for this time replacing it. So that 30 years is it's not for something like a bathroom or an addition. I think it's understandable for something like a roof, you can get a 25-year roof warranty. But it's somewhat understandable that's got to be replaced. So that, think about it being like that, I really think should last 20 to 30 years before you have to revisit this again. It's something like asphalt or roofing is because it's exposed to the weather, it's good.
If you look at rough numbers, if previous presentation was about 20 million, and this is roughly 15 million, which is strictly life safety. It's, because with the 85 million of beautifications that the library
Yeah.
talked about, and so.
Yeah, so the exterior work, I think, the buildings are assets, right? So you want to continue, all school districts have to continually put money towards these. You think about the health, the bathrooms, flooring, ceiling lighting has to do with the wellness of the child, health, right? It has to do with fire escape, but it has to do with the overall environment, that you're improving the learning environment. So a lot of those things, like the lighting, the flooring, the handrails, those all kind of are not just just infrastructure, the things that people use every day. Going about beyond that, like if we were to think about linking the two sides of the building here, we can get into that, what that would cost and the benefits of that. So I think there's some projects that I think could still lend some excitement and get people, a little bit, behind some of the dollars there. Because nobody wants to spend money on things you don't see necessarily.
So I always say, no one opens up the ceiling tiles and says, look at those copper pipes. They're beautiful. Yeah, we spent a lot of money on them.
Yeah, think about your home, your roof, if it's functioning correctly, everything's fine. You don't need that kind of roof as a whole. It starts with the house. And heating and cooling, if you have a heating and cooling system, it contributes a lot to your quality. So.
Any other questions?
But more of the next steps internally with the board, and where does it go from here?
I do in my discussion items tonight have the information you asked about for last month. As far as bonds and referendums.
From our point of view, if we know what the general scope is and what we want to do, start breaking it up you could submit the benefits, just for the turnaround time. Really to get a sense of where you stand on the bigger picture, right? How you're gonna fund it, and then you start to review those amendments submit it better. Keep waiting, the person that reviews it down in Springfield, might change, right? Become more strict. Government changes rules, every once in a
Just one
while
guy.
too, so.
In Springfield. That does this.
So, yeah.
It is very good. How long do you, just as a typical turnaround, would you say it's taking?
1 month to 2 months.
Okay.
Promise.
Good guideline.
But if we get direction, we put it in, we're clear what we want. And then once they get approved, then we can start doing the design work and looking at the existing conditions. It would be great to do that over the summer, and then we can just project in the fall, and then start construction next. And moving forward, but I mean, we could do the project in the summer, we just need to getting to it. Well, thank you.
Great, thank
Got a
you
lot of
very much.
information there.
Thanks for coming out again.
Some spreadsheets for you, so, thank you.
Administrative report, Superintendent Mrs. Boosie.
Yeah, I just had something really quick to add. We officially open registration tomorrow for the 26-27 school year. Our transition to My School Bucks has gone well. In fact, you all should have gotten an email from My School Bucks, starting to move us towards that system. Remember, lunch fees are still with Pushpoint right now. That won't start till next school year, but we're gonna start with all our curriculum fees, tuition into My School Bucks. One of the best things about My School Bucks, which I know is an interest of the boards, is you can go into Power School, and then the left side will be the toggle to My School Bucks. So one less system that we need to go into. So that would be two less systems that we've gotten rid of this, during this year to kind of streamline things. I know we still need to work on grades with Mastery of Math. I know that is something we still talk about quite a bit. But that is at least another step in the right direction. So we're very excited about it. And if then down the road, if we did change, our SIS system or move away from Power School at some point, just to say this, My School Bucks can move around with it too. So we haven't closed ourselves up from other opportunities. But I think I really like it. It's very easy. You can see exactly what you're paying. You can make a partial payment. Oh, and right now, remember, until June 1st, our early bird discount is open. So fees are $325, but until June 1st, they're only $275. So get out there and pay those fees. You'll hear me say that lots of times until then. So just wanted to share that with you. Very exciting news.
Really quick, what system is checking residency, or is there any difference in that?
No, we're still using the same system that we've used with Power School. So last year we did the form. Everyone still has to upload all 3 of their proofs. All new student or kindergarten registration is in person. Mostly kindergarten, because next year we are still charging tuition. The year after will be the year that we will not.
And anything else we can just bring up in discussion?
Correct. Thank
Okay,
you.
special education, Mr. Masters.
Yeah, so a couple quick things I did want to point out. April is Autism Acceptance Month. I know I've shared a little bit with the board in the past, but it is a great time to celebrate and promote our understanding for students with developmental condition known as autism. It is a communication and social interaction disorder that does affect approximately 1 in 36 children. So really schools are a real great place to kind of foster that development in a lot of those areas and really build up that skill set as they transition into adulthood. So really want to take the time to recognize that. In terms of our preschool, our team is looking forward to their upcoming field trip to the Brookfield Zoo that will be happening a little bit later in May. So lots of different skills that they'll be building up as they get to see all kinds of great things. Also wanted to take some time to celebrate our multilingual department. They had a very successful cultural night. They had a very large number of attendees, had a lot of great experiences for different cultures, representing different cultures, for food, music, crafts, activities, really well attended, very excited. And then we will also be holding our BPAC, I apologize, there was a typo in the report, it's our Bilingual Parent Advisory Committee for May 19th. And finally, with the special education, we also had a parent university that was held virtually. That was also a great success. We had a number of parents who came out to that. We were able to talk a little bit more about the social emotional well-being and how our social workers and psychologists actually support our students throughout the days. That concludes our report.
Thank you.
I will mention they offered that event virtually and it seemed to work out well. Not the cultural event, but the social work event. So this is definitely something we're going to explore more.
Child School, Mr. Bianchi.
Yes, thank you. We have April, May, and June are busy months at Giles. We have a lot of activities that are all listed on the District 80 public calendar. Two that I would like to highlight right now is the 7th grade Springfield trip, which is May 26th, and the 8th grade Washington, D.C. field trip, which is the 11th through the 13th. And then finally, the 8th grade graduation is Tuesday, June 2nd at Ridgewood High School with a 7 p.m. start time. That concludes my report.
You received your invitation to the 8th grade graduation tonight. Please let Mrs. Garcia know if you will be in attendance and how many seats you'll need.
Lee School, Mr. Radiola.
Here, I want to share out that our before spring break, we had our 4th grade versus staff basketball game, which ended in a tie for the first time in, well, at least that I've ever seen. So that was pretty cool. It was nice to see Mr. Preble out there, dunking on some 4th graders. It was a really good time. Also, one of the reasons we do that's part of the Kids Heart Challenge, raising money, for that, which our students were able to raise $17,000, which is an incredible amount of money that goes to that great organization. And when they were putting that together or setting a goal for that, they across the board, the donations have been going down for that event. So they were kind of wondering, well, what is going on here? That you guys seem to be doing really well with that. But Mr. B and Mr. Woodward really hyped that up, and the kids seem to be getting involved with that, which is great. And want to shout out our rock paper scissors champion Veronica in 3rd grade for winning that tournament there with our rock paper scissors tournament. So I listed a bunch of different events that are coming up, and we are at the phase of wrapping up this year and prepping for next year. We're really in that phase right now. So a lot of work going into making sure we're getting everything ready for a successful 26-27 school year. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Discipline reports. Giles.
This month we have no report.
Lee.
We have no.
Good. Board committee. Education, nothing to report. For policy development, we are planning a meeting in May. Building and grounds, you have some things for discussion.
Correct.
And we just had a presentation. Behavioral intervention, nothing to report. Negotiations and human resources, will be addressed in closed session. Finance, nothing to report. Communications, there'll be a newsletter in the works. One last one for the year would be good. Norwich Park District, we will address in closed session. Discussion items.
Thank you. We will begin with Community Kindness Day, which is taking place this Saturday. We have two events that are going on here at Lee School. PTA is sponsoring a rock and bookmark decorating. And then Gratitude Generation, it will also be sponsoring activity here at Lee, Bright Day bags for seniors and local senior homes. So please come by to Lee School from 9:30 to 10:30 on Community Kindness Day. You can check out all the other activities that are going on throughout Norwich and Howard Heights for this Saturday. Lots of fun things and good things to be involved in. The village reached out to us to invite us to take part in the Memorial Day celebration, which will take place on May 24th, a little early this year, it seems, for Memorial Day. Sunday at noon. This is the 33rd annual Memorial Day ceremony. They asked us to present a wreath from Norwich School District 80. I know Mr. Treviso, you usually attend. So we can let Mrs. Garcia know, and then we'll order the wreath and make sure that someone is presenting it there. Okay, great.
I'll be there too. Wonderful.
Thank you. Always a very nice event. Okay, so last month, when Mr. Biecki and Dr. Rabiola spoke about the schedules at Lee and Giles, Dr. Rabiola talked a little bit about enrichment opportunities or acceleration opportunities. We kind of put those down on paper to share with the board tonight. So in third grade, and the invitations have already gone out to the families. Anyone that's in the 85th percentile or above in their iReady assessment in ELA and math will be receiving an increased pacing and deeper look into the standards. So this will be done through some pulling, some pushing in of different, moving kids around in different classrooms in third grade in order to have the students work together who are above that 85th percentile. We started that this year. It had a slightly different look because this year the students didn't have a homeroom. They were just kind of coming in and out of that support classroom, but next year they'll actually have homeroom. So building that into fourth grade, we are looking at students at the 85th or above percentile also, but in ELA, the students will actually be all together in that homeroom in fourth grade, and they're actually going to be working on fifth grade ELA standards. So we'll be moving them from completing third grade standards over to fifth grade standards with some opportunities during wind period to fill in any gaps or work on anything that might have been missing on fourth grade standards. And then looking at math for the fourth grade next year, they're going to start off the year looking at fourth grade standards. They're going to increase their pacing with the hope that we'll be able to get to fifth grade standards by the end of the school year. We're not sure because this is new, but that is what our hope is. Then we will have our second shift, which will then shift the students who are leaving fourth grade a year from now, going to Giles and being able to meet them where they are, and hopefully going on to sixth grade standards in ELA and in math. We'll see where math ends up. We also, Dr. Rabiola and Mr. Biecki are having a meeting with Ridgewood to talk about our acceleration, to talk about placement at Ridgewood of our students and just how we can continue to grow our programs. We do have some acceleration that happens right now at Giles, but this is really just putting together a much more formal program that starts off with guidelines in third grade, then moves on from there. So as we continue to move forward, we'll continue to add a grade each year and continue to work with Ridgewood on how they can help meet our students on an accelerated level at Ridgewood. Ridgewood has great opportunities, and many of our students do skip over some introduction math classes or move to math integrated 2 or even move to math integrated honors. So Mr. Biecki and Dr. Rabbiola, meeting with the Ridgewood staff to look at specifically where our kids are going, what cut scores that we are using for that, and how we can continue to improve on helping them grow. So very exciting stuff happening. Whitley, as at your seat tonight, has completed our single audit of FY25 funds. So when a district receives over $750,000 in grant revenue in FY25, then you had to have a single audit. Our single audit, which we shared with you, no findings or questions, costs were found in the audit. Moving forward, in FY26, the state has set that threshold at $1 million now for a single audit requirement. We most likely won't meet that threshold for FY26. So this might be our last single audit in a while, unless something dramatically changes, but it is there in front of you from Whitley, and there were not any findings, nothing to report on it. Or even any questions asked. I just want to share with you that before spring break, we had discussed the Giles Wood Ceiling Project, which is part of the Giles Infrastructure Grant. We've been talking about this project for a long time. There are some wonderful pictures, especially like the picture on the right that shows the new signage at Giles School as well. Really looks lovely. It's so much lighter, brighter. It really is a great new ceiling area, and it really does not feel low. We're worried about it feeling much lower, but it really doesn't feel it. I think it just, you'll notice also there aren't any other things hanging down other than the fire extinguisher is still there, but our B&G staff was able to do all the electrical work and move all the speakers, move all the Wi-Fi, move all of those things up into the ceiling now. So it's a much cleaner look, much crisp and cleaner. They'll continue to do that work at Giles as we shift over to Giles. Since we had the opportunity of getting this done during spring break, we took that opportunity. It was better for companies because they had time, better for them to come in and do it, which they did, and it was really fabulous. And again, this is part of the Giles Infrastructure Grant. Looks great. Covered the lights, covered the floor, the ceiling tiles, covered all the work, all the labor. Very, very nice. Okay, so my last topic today, as the board asked me last month, to talk a little bit about funding and referendums and bonds. So I'm just going to give you the little quick version, but I'll be happy to answer any questions, and Mrs. DeVore is here as well, if anything is about me. So you have a property tax extension limitation law, which we call PTEL. And PTEL is how school districts get funded the money that comes into us for taxes. And that is based on the increase we receive every year is based on the Consumer Price Index. Or anything that limits us to less than 5% over the previous year's levy. So let's just say, we've had some years where CPI, or the Consumer Price Index, is 8%. We are capped at 5% that we can levy, or we can go to Cook County and say, okay, this is what we want to bring on as new tax dollars to our district from one year to the next. There is a little other increase in there for any kind of new construction that goes on, so we typically will levy a little higher just to capture any new construction, but there hasn't been a great new construction in Orange. Pretty landlocked on what we have. There's not like areas of field that are sitting out there waiting for new houses. So that's the money that a school district gets every year, other than what we get from the state for evidence-based funding. So there are two different ways to look at changing that amount or bringing in more money into a district. And that is to exceed your tax limits. And that is by doing something that's called a referendum. Now, there's two different ways you can look at a referendum. You can issue bonds, or you could look at a limiting tax rate increase. If you issue if you issue bonds, you issue them for a specific purpose, like life safety, as we were just talking about with Mike. And you have a limited amount of years of paying that back. Example, 30 years, 20 years, 15 years. That's just an example. So you say, okay, we want to go out for, we want to issue a bond for $1 million. And what we're going to do with that $1 million is X. And then it'll be an increase on taxes for a number of years, let's say 10 years. That increases taxes. Once that $1 million is paid off in that 10 years, then that falls back off. And taxpayers don't see that addition. So that's one way. The second way is looking at a limiting tax rate increase. So what that does is it says for this year, we want to go ahead and increase above PTEL or increase above that what's available in that 5% or CPI. And we want to do that for that year, but then that kind of sets our new base. So let's say, just for easy numbers, we're getting $10 million. And we say we want to do an increase so that we're now going to get $15 million. That $15 million becomes our new base. It never goes back down. So taxpayers don't see after 20 years or 30 years that fall off and that change. So those are the two kind of ways that you can look at extending a tax limit. So then you asked me to look at some areas, some taxing bodies in Orange Howard Heights that have done exceeding tax limits and how they've done it. So just the most recent, in March of 26, which was just last month, Penoyer did a building bond and asked for $14 million. Before that, then, and these are kind of going backwards in date. Union Ridge in March of 24 did a $35 million building bond, which passed. Red didn't pass, Green passed. Penoyers did not pass, Union Ridges did pass. However, previous to that $14 million in March of 2026, Penoyer did a building bond in April of 23 for $9.7 million, which did pass. And at the same time, they also did a limiting rate increase. So again, they took their tax, they took their base and upped their base by 17%. So they actually passed both of those in April of 2023. Now, big difference here. When you do a building bond, you are identifying these are the projects we're doing. When you are doing a limiting rate increase, you can use that money for anything. It can go to anywhere you want to go. It does not have to go to building capital projects. It doesn't have to go to life safety. You can put it in the ed fund. You can put it in any fund that you need to go to. When you levy it, you decide where it goes. Okay, going back, and you'll see Penoyer many times on here with unsuccessful bonds before their successful bonds in April of 23 and their limiting rate of April of 23. So in November 22, they asked for $7.9 million, which did not pass. The Norridge Park District did a building bond for pool renovations, and I think a little bit to their park house in June of 2022, which did pass for $6.3 million. And in June of 2022, the Norwood Park Fire Department, which I believe was for like a new ambulance, did a limiting rate increase of $10.3 million. So again, Park District, building bond, specific plan, what they were using it for. Norwood Park Fire Department, limiting rate, they can use it for anything. I seem to recall something about an ambulance there, but you might remember that. Norwich Park District then in April of 2021 had an unsuccessful building bond of $3.5 million. A year later, passed a double the amount of a building bond. Penoyer then had 3 consecutive years, 2021, 20, and 18 of unsuccessful building bonds. 8.6, 10.9, and 25 million were the 3 of those building bonds. They had a couple other little attempts of things in 18 that I didn't write on here, but they were very different, kind of trying to get at some additional funds in different ways. And they were unsuccessful. So here we get to Norwich School District 8. We did a limiting rate increase in April of 2017 of 14.8 million. And what I'm going to remember on that was about $1 million, $2 million, somewhere in that range. 2.25. Thank you, 1.25, which was 14.8% of an increase. So that's a limiting rate. So that means that when you vote for that, that money can be used in any way possible. You can use that however you want to use that. In April of 26, Norwich School District 80 did a limiting rate increase of 73.6%. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's 8, sorry, 16, thank you for correcting. April of 2016, 73.6%. So that limiting rate bond would have been something that would have brought the base up and then left the base up. It wasn't like a let's pay it off in 30 years and let's, then it's over. Or it wasn't these specific projects and then it's done. It was a limiting rate increase. Ridgewood High School in 2006, and those both should say 2006, of November of 2006, asked for a limiting rate increase of a 60% increase, which did not pass. But at the same time, in November of 2006, again, I should say 06, did pass a building bond of $40 million, which I believe is kind of getting close to the end of it. So it was 06. Somewhere coming. Let's see. Nope, these I think we already mentioned. Oh, Ridgewood before that, sorry. Ridgewood before that did a couple of different limiting rates, 30% limiting rate in February of 08, November of 08 to 30% limiting rate that didn't pass. In 07, went for an increase in limiting rate in 07 and 08. That didn't actually say the percent on there. Those all did not pass. That is everything that has happened in the past. A couple of little things that the village had done that were on a referendum that were not money related. Just asking just asking questions on a ballot. Those I didn't include. But they weren't bonds or building bonds or any limiting rate increases. One was like, should we join the ONCC and fight for quiet flight, that kind of stuff.
So our district is the only district surrounding the area that didn't pass any form of living rate or in the last 20 years.
Correct. Yeah, Union Ridge was March of 04, Penoyer was April of 03. And Penoyer did a limiting rate and they did a building bond in April of 03. Yes. 20. I don't know why I keep doing that. Does everyone understand the difference between? I'm not remembering as I'm sitting here the exact number, but that 73.6% limiting rate was something like to a house value of $100,000 was like a $486 increase, something like that. 73.6% in April of 2016 for your school district. Any other questions? Is this the information you were looking for? Sure, it's in board book, but I can definitely.
It's not, I was looking.
It's not board book?
No.
Yep, absolutely, I will email it to her. I apologize, I don't remember what's in. No, I apologize.
Thank you for all that. This was a lot of preparation. Consent agenda. I need a motion to approve 15A through 15H.
A motion.
Renzo, Manny, for the, seen any discussion, anyone, anything to say about that? Well, okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Board comments, any to bring up, discuss? No? Okay, closed session. Consider motion to adjourn to closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. Purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired, student disciplinary cases, and review of closed session minutes. Can I have a motion? Maria? Amanda? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. We will go into closed session. It's 8:08. We will go into closed session at 8:18. Session at 11:40. We'll move on to action items. 18A, consider approval of the District 80 Certified Staffing Plan for the 2026-2027 school year. Can I have a motion? Fanny and Lauren, roll call, please.
Mrs. Theodore?
Yes.
Mrs. Erbach Barnfield?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mr. Poljack?
Yes.
Mrs. McPhillips?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes, the motion passes. 18B, consider approval of the memorandum of agreement between the District 80 Board of Education and Norwich Education Association of Teachers Association regarding tenured teacher evaluations. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Jim, Lauren, roll call, please.
Mr. Poljack?
Yes.
Mrs. Erbach Barnfield?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mrs. McPhillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Theodore?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes, the motion passes. 19A, employment, consider approval of Dylan Golden, Buildings, Ground, and Maintenance Department. 2, consider approval of Patrick Woodward, boys softball coach, child school. 3, consider approval of Tom Palazzos, boys varsity basketball coach, child school. 4, consider approval of Tim Rogers, boys junior varsity basketball coach, child school. 5, consider approval of Tom Palazzos, girls varsity basketball coach, child school. 6, consider approval of Patrick Woodward, Child's junior varsity basketball coach, child school. Did I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Amanda, Fanny, roll call, please.
Mrs. McPhillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Theodore?
Yes.
Mrs. Lala?
Yes.
Mr. Poljack?
Yes.
Mrs. Erbach Barnfield?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes, the motion passes. I need a motion to adjourn this meeting at 11:42. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Let's go say that. Meeting's now adjourned.